What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Let me get adjusted here so I'm like centered with the camera. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this one's called Signs My Ex Is Hurting. I don't think I've covered this video yet. If you guys ever noticed that I've covered a video twice, let me know, okay? So the last video I covered, it was an old video that Coach Lee did, and it was quiet. So I think this one's probably going to be better. This one was recorded like last year or so. Anyway, without further ado, coaching's down below, by the way, if you want, in the comment section and in the description box. You guys should see it there. Maybe just the description box. And the books are there too, so you guys can purchase the material and start reading and making notes. Make sure you make notes. It's very important. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, that's way better.
This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to reveal some signs that show your ex is hurting. Take a quick second, click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this on relationships, breakups, marriage, mindfulness, and success in life. So do you want your ex to hurt? Well, you want them back, and you're looking to see if there's signs that they want that. And so it's more about signs that they are not liking being without you. But in this case, it's signs that they are hurting, and these are going to be some that at first might seem basic, but that there's an important reason I'm mentioning them, and I'm going to explain those as well.
There is something that I do want to mention before he gets into it, which is there is a lot of people who come to me during coaching and they say, I want my ex to hurt like I did. Or they'll ask me questions that lead me to know that. Okay? And I promise you guys, that's not where your growth is going to be. I know that it makes you feel better. Oh my God, my ex dumped me, or my ex broke up with me, my ex doesn't love me, or whatever it is, right? And you're hurt, and you want them to hurt like you. And I get it, because you're in that emotion, but watch, when you remove yourself from that emotion, eventually you're going to go, wow, there's no point in them hurting anymore. There's just no, nothing good comes out of it. You have to learn the lesson, okay? That's why I put this chart up, okay? Because when you're hurting, you want them, right? Like that's anger, right? Pride. You want them to feel like you, okay? And you might feel some guilt and some shame for some things that happen in a relationship, whatever. But I promise you guys, that's not where the growth is going to come from, okay? So let's get through it.
Sign number one that your ex is hurting is if they exaggerate their happiness on social media. So as far as you can tell on social media, your ex is just having a wonderful time. They are shutting the clubs down, and no one has ever partied so hard in all of existence. And seeing that's probably painful because it looks like now that they're free of you, they can finally have all this fun and fulfillment, and the party is just unending. But there's an interesting quote that William Shakespeare gives us: "You doth protest too much." It's an interesting little quote. And basically it means that if you have to loudly project something, and if you have to try to draw a lot of attention to it and talk about it way more than seems normal, that it's not true. And that can be the case if things just look so rosy for your ex that you can't stand it. It could very well be that they're putting on, and they're wanting you to even see that, which is interesting because...
So, yeah, and I let me add to that. You don't really know what's going on in their life. You really don't. You don't know what they're experiencing, what they're going through. It may seem like they are having the time of their life, right? But it doesn't mean that they are in enlightenment and bliss, peace, joy, love, right? They may jump up here for a little bit of time, but as you see, you're going to be down here going through the breakups. There's going to be a very big mismatch here. But as you grow, because look, pain will help you grow if you see it, if you go through it, okay? In one way or another. Yes, some people get definitely like, they stay in their pain for too long. But guys, you're going to learn and you're going to grow and you're going to get stronger. That's just what pain does. It shows you and reveals to you what you don't want. So your ex is going to, the dumper, they're going to jump up here. Actually, they probably already were as the relationship was going up. So they jumped up to, willingness and acceptance of where the relationship was going. They, now have a reason to live the way that they want to live. And, maybe they have some joy and some peace. But as time goes by, they still have the individual stuff to work on for themselves, right? Which may be something that they're not so happy with. Maybe the relationship did give them some sort of comfort. So, it doesn't mean that they're going to be, completely happy without you forever. It just seems that way for now. And I've done this. And so in every breakup that I was actually a part of, personally, it seemed this exact way. I was down here. I was feeling like crap. I felt, I felt super guilty for all the stuff that I did, not just stupid young man shit. And they seem to be up here, but really behind all the facade and behind all that, there was, they were just down here too, but in a different way. Right. They put up this fucking beautiful little painting of what they just put up like a smoke screen. That's the word I'm looking for. And behind all that was truly an actual fire, right? And as I was dealing with it, I got stronger. So instead of feeling all these orange emotions, I was actually up in this anger stage. Okay, pride, anger, and then you jump up to courage because eventually you're like, I can date again. Okay, I can date again. I can focus. There are other girls that are actually still looking at me. Other girls are interested in me. They smile at me. So when I was going through my breakups, right, I was still in high school. So other girls were still interested in whatever, but they knew that I was in a relationship or going through a breakup. So they weren't interested in wanting to be with me. But as some months goes by, you get invited to some parties and, you have your own parties and shit like that. And of course, other girls are going to be there and they show interest, right? And, you're drinking, so it is what it is. And, you make some moves. And then here's what happened to me. As I started understanding that I'm still an attractive person, I still feel confident enough to talk to other women, right? I would hear from it's stupid high school shit. Like, this girl, she thinks you're hot or whatever. So that boosts your your confidence, which will make you more courageous because you're like, oh, my chances of rejection are basically zero, right? And that's what happens. See, and then when you come out of your breakup and you come out of feeling like crap all the time, right? When you come out of it, you're going to start experiencing little bits of confidence because of the stuff that you're doing. If you don't get out, because I actually had to get out. My friends were like, bro, get your fucking ass out. Sorry about the camera. For some reason, the USB is weird. It'll come back. So, there it goes. So they were like, get your ass out. Let's go. So it was cool. And then that's why you have to have good friends, right? But here's the conundrum. As we get older, we don't have a really close social group. Some of you guys will, but some of us don't. Okay. So it's going to be hard for you to want to go out. So you have to have the balls to go out still and still talk to women and still, put yourself out there because you will get those hits of confidence from, some girls will look at you a certain way because you're actually out, you're approaching, you're talking to them. Someone eventually will show interest in you. But I don't want you guys to sit here and go, oh my God, I need to start dating again. Because if you're not ready to date, you're not ready to date. And anyone can tell when you're ready and not ready. Anyway, let me stop rambling and let's go.
If your ex still cares about what you think, that in itself is a sign that your ex is hurting and that they could be doubting the breakup. Doesn't mean things are going to happen tonight, but it could mean that the wheels are in motion and the earth is moving under your feet. Sometimes the key here is patience and staying in the moment. So let's get to the second sign that your ex is hurting. If your ex regresses to a negative behavior, so for example, let's say your ex had a drinking problem at one point, and during the relationship with you, they got much better with it. They didn't drink as much or as often, and they were doing better with their problem. And then, after breaking up with you, after a little bit of time, you find out that they have regressed and they are now drinking heavily again. Is that because they're trying to mask the pain of being without you? Maybe. It can also be that they're trying to find something, that they're trying to do something that they think is fun, that society says, if you do this, you're having a good time. Because there's a lot of peer pressure, even for adults, when it comes to drinking. Drink with me. Have a beer. It's as though they want you to join in what they're doing so that they feel like they're having fun. And there's a lot of that with your ex if they're showing you these amazing times on Facebook and you hear they're drinking again. Some of this could be for show, hoping you'll hear about it. Some of it could also be because they don't know what else to do and they're trying to do something where they feel like they're having fun. It's like that cliche question, are we having fun yet? But this could be a serious thing if your ex has regressed back to some negative thing that they overcame while they were with you because you two were good together and there was stability in their life and love, and they got better with it. If they have gone back to it, it could very well mean that they are searching for something, and that something is you. This next sign that your ex is hurting is a really key one, and it's a terrific sign that they want to get back together, but it means that they are hurting. And that is if they are asking for the details of your life. For example, they're asking about how your pet's doing, how your job's going.
I've seen this happen before. It's common. Well, I wouldn't say it's extremely common. It's just, it does happen, and you guys need to be very aware and ready for when it does happen. Okay.
How your parents are doing, or family members, or about certain details of your life, or how you are doing with a certain issue maybe that you've been working through. At first, these seem just kind of basic, but if they ask about things that are current, so for example, they ask about how this week is going or the last month is going, things that would be normal for them to know if they were with you, it possibly and even likely means they're missing intimacy with you, because intimacy is when I can see into you, you can see into me, which if you hear the word there, into me, intimacy, you see how that works? And it's when you are naked, not just physically, but emotionally and intellectually in front of someone else, where you're not hiding. And so you know the details, you know the facts and the feelings of their life. And that's what you want. That's what we all want, though some of us are scared of it. And if your ex is asking about that and trying to get some of that, to get some of those details, to stay in the know, they want to feel that again, most likely. They want to feel that intimacy, and they're missing it, and it hurts. It hurts to not have that anymore, and it's noticeable to them. And so while it's tricky to have some scale of is it hurt or is it just missing it or noticing it, it's leaning toward hurting, because if you're missing someone, it's actually emotionally a form of pain. And so if your ex is trying to get those details, they're trying to reclaim some of that intimacy with you, they're hurting. Another sign that your ex is hurting is that they volunteer that they miss you, but that it seems to stop there. And that's usually very frustrating, because I often get emails or comments on my channel that people will say, I don't understand. They say they miss me, or they ask me how it's going, and then it just kind of stops there. There's no offer or invitation for getting together. And that's very frustrating, obviously, because that's what you want. You want them to say, I miss you, so let's get together. I miss you by itself just seems to be empty, or at least missing half of the equation. But what could be going on is that, as I've said in other videos, your ex knows this took them a while to come to. It took them a while to get to the point where they said, I've got to break up with this person. And again, as I mentioned before, to you, this is brand new. You're just blindsided by this, but they've been preparing for this, and you're just finding out about it. So even if your ex is feeling like they want to get back together with you, like they're thinking this was a terrible mistake, and even to the point where they want to tell you that they miss you. Now, sometimes that can be bait, where they just want you to take their hand and escort them back to the relief stage. And if you are subscribed to my channel, maybe you've seen my video, Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact, and I talk about the relief stage and how in that stage, your ex doesn't experience the breakup, because for them, they can get you back at any second. They're the ones who broke up with you. You wanted to stay together. So your ex feels like this is totally within their control.
You feel the brunt of it right away. You feel all of the pain within the first few days, weeks, months, right? It's only later on that they feel it, because they've been thinking about it for a while. They've been focused on it for a while, and then they finally do it, right? And then they have this big relief, and then you feel the breakup right away. You feel the rejection right away. They don't feel rejection until they try coming back around and try messaging you, which could be a long time after, because maybe they are dating somebody else. Maybe they're entertaining another relationship. It could be, right? And in that case, I would tell you not to go back out with them. I would tell you to move on if you find that out. But, it's up to you what you want to do with your life, right?
They have the power. If they want you back, just takes a text or a phone call, and things are just like they were. So your ex has no fear, because it's the equivalent to being in Vegas and using someone else's money to gamble. You have nothing to lose. If somebody else is paying for it, what do you care, right? Your ex thinks you're paying for all the bills as far as this breakup goes, because they could get you back if they changed their mind. So what happens when that little reality changes to where they're not sure if they could get you back or not? Maybe you've moved on and they could reach a point where they want you back and couldn't get you back. So if they reach out and say, I miss you, be careful, because you could just simply give them an all expense paid trip back to the relief stage. You don't want to do that. So if you do get that I miss you text, Don't fall all over yourself. I miss you too. This has been so difficult. I want you back. Easy there. You can say, I miss you too. But then you can add something like, but I hope everything else is going well. And back away. Let them sit there and read that text and say, well, what do you know about that? Because what they might expect you to do is to open the door into relief stage by saying, I miss you too. I want you back. Are you feeling any different? Could you get together with me?
I made that mistake once. Don't do that.
Do you like to get together and have coffee? Maybe we can have dinner. And you just go off on this proposal because you're so excited that they said that they missed you. So be careful with that. But at the same time, if they do say they miss you, it means they're feeling some of that pain. And the very fact that they don't pitch something else means they aren't sure. They don't want to lead you on and hurt you because they realize that this was something that they wrestled with for a while. And so they want to feel this for a while to see if this is what they really want, if they really want to get back together with you. So oftentimes if they say, I miss you, it's really them saying, I hurt without you. They're not saying more than that. It's more of a statement where either they want you to make them feel better by assuring them they could get you back at any second that they wanted to. And if you don't do that, then you're actually going to help them move through those stages. Again, I'll link to that video in the description below. It's called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact. And I also have a video called The Dumper's Experience, which I will link to in the description below. And of course, I talk about this in detail in my emergency breakup kit. And I'll link to that information about that in the description below. The next sign that your ex is hurting is that when you are around them, that you notice they act a lot different. And a lot of times it's really silly. Like if they're not a silly person, they're usually a little more serious or a little more focused or a little more mature in the way they act. And now all of a sudden they're acting ridiculous. Like they're trying to make you pay attention, or they're trying to get you to see something and it doesn't even look like they're clear on what that is. And they seem to be all over the place. Like one minute they're laughing and happy like it's no big deal, and then they turn serious or angry or sad. But it's not necessarily about the breakup. Maybe they won't tell you about it, or they'll say, no, it's nothing. It's nothing. But this person just seems very different than you remember. That can be because they're hurting and they don't know how to act around you. They're fighting it a little bit. They're fighting it a lot. They are thinking, I want this person back, but they're frustrated because it took them a long time to come to this conclusion and they don't know what to do, which is very frustrating. They're confused. It's almost like they're saying, come on, life, you don't make any sense. What am I supposed to do with this? I thought I wanted to break up and now it's like I don't. You can see where that would be really irritating, especially if this is a good person and they care about you and they don't want to hurt you, and they realize that they've hurt you, and now they're feeling like what they did was a terrible mistake, that it didn't have to happen. You can see where if your ex is a good person, that's a painful, confusing, frustrating thing to go through. So, is it a good sign? Yes, it is. Does it mean that you should start professing love and give your ex an all-expense-paid trip back to the relief stage? No, it does not. No, it's not. Stay with me. Be careful. Take a second and click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this. So I'm going to give you a bonus sign that your ex is hurting. If your ex disappears and then contacts you and stays in contact with you for a few days and then disappears again. So it's where it kind of feels like, okay, so now we're in contact and I'm starting to see this is becoming a normal thing, and then poof, they disappear. This is an inner battle you're seeing to where they don't like being out of touch with you. It hurts and they want to feel better about it. And so they reach back out and they find that comfort in your arms, even if it's just texting back and forth.
Which can be incredibly frustrating.
But then they get frustrated because either they start to feel some of what they felt before in terms of that the relationship is over, that attraction is lower than it was. And what that means is that more time apart needs to happen, more silence needs to happen because they've got to experience loss. They have to be able to reflect on when you were very attractive to them. And they have to watch themselves and experience themselves miss you and be able to observe that, remember that, and all these things and a lot of other things that I talk about in other videos and the emergency breakup kit come to this point. It's like a combination of things that cause just the right amount of pain and regret for them and fear of loss. It's not just one thing. And so when they disappear, it's because they think they can, because they kind of get their feel of you. Then they go back and they're pulled back again because they realize they just can't make it without feeling that regret and that pain and missing you and missing the comfort in your arms. And it's important when this is going on that you don't initiate a text. You've got to let them, first of all, notice that you don't initiate a text, but also they have to be able to feel that you are slowly getting away.
Yeah, and that's going to help because it's going to create some sort of anxiety and fear of loss. See, they know that coming back into your life is going to be actually pretty difficult. They know that they're fucking around with you. Okay, and some people get off on it, like fucked up women, fucked up men that continue to do this. They get off on that kind of stuff, and they'll come in and come out, and they like having that power over you. So if you're dealing with somebody like that, get the fuck away from them. Because I have people that ask me, "Oh, what about borderlines? What about narcissistic people?" Stay the fuck away from them. But decent people, I'll just say that they are gonna know that you. Again, I've gone through this from a dumper's perspective. So I've broken up with a girl before because I wanted to party and have a good time. That's really what it was. I didn't want to be locked down. And that simply was it. Basically, I wanted to be free to do whoever I wanted to do and do whatever I wanted to do. I'm through a massive party phase for a while. And that girl went stone cold on me. Okay. And I came in and like I messaged her and I was like, hey, and she was stone cold towards me. She let me back closer and closer. And I started feeling those, okay, like I still have her. So that means that I can get her back. Again, it's dumpers confidence. It's this confidence they have. I think somebody in the comments actually said that Coach Lee calls it dumpers arrogance. So it's the exact same thing. Dumpers, you're arrogant. You're like, I could get them back, right? Now, her and I ended up getting back together, but that's a relationship that I never should have continued. And looking back, like I don't have a deep seated regret because I learned from it. But there were lots of times in my life where I didn't want to hurt the person that I was with because I felt a certain way, and then then I wasn't giving my full intimate, like my full self, being intimate, being close. I wasn't giving enough, so I ended up being a certain way, and I think that got the relationships to get to a certain place. But I was also complacent. I was very young. I didn't have much going on in my life, so AKA I was a bit of a loser. But I don't think people, when you're fucking 19 years old, what do you know? You don't know shit. You're allowed to legally drink here in Canada, and I'm still surprised that's the drinking age. But people at 19 don't know anything. People at 22, 23, 24, 25 don't know anything. I'm 32 now and I don't know shit. Okay. So I try and learn, but the more that I learn about something, the more it seems like everything is so much bigger than I ever thought it was. So I just hyper focus on the stuff that I really love, because you just can't know everything. It's impossible, right? So anyway, let's continue.
Because each time that they stay away from you, first of all, it's going to become more difficult, but then it will become easier, especially if it seems like you are just simply available. And I don't mean that you should ignore them. I don't mean that you should tell them they can't text you. And I don't mean that you should try to make it look like you're moving on with someone else. But what I am telling you to do is that you keep it casual and polite, and that at some point you suggest a face-to-face if they don't. Because if they just keep being able to have a little text conversation with you, a few days with some text to you, and then disappear, that happens more than 2 or 3 times, oftentimes it will start to become easier for them. This is one of the danger zones when your ex is contacting you during no contact, because it's doing its thing. But just like a fire, if there's not enough oxygen, even if there's a flame, it will slowly suffocate. And that's kind of what happens with no contact, is that you take away some of that bite that no contact can have. That's
a good point. And you know what, too? If you constantly... Let's give Coach Lee a better still. Okay. There we go. So if you constantly let them back in and let them go back out, there is going to be a point where you should say, you know what? You keep on doing this. You're either in or you're out. And I know it sounds like an ultimatum, but there's also got to be a point where you stand up for yourself and go, look, what the fuck you want? Right? What do you want? I've seen this happen with students before, and I tell them to do that, and they're scared to do that. But because a lot of students, like they want any kind of contact. They want anything that they can get their hands on. Okay, so when they get something, they get attached to that one something, and I tell them, stop. Just don't do that. Just this is the way it is right now. Okay, and if she comes back and then she leaves again, she comes back and she leaves again, eventually you got to stand up for yourself and go, bro, like, what are you doing? Okay, so don't let that happen.
Because they can just come and go as they please, and that's not always a good thing. So you need to go ahead and set that face-to-face up so that you can escalate this and so they can see you, which that's where you're able to be your most attractive self, because you can utilize all areas of attraction, physical, intellectual, and emotional. And that's where they can start to kind of feel like you two are a little bit of a couple again.
Did he change his shirt? No.
Which, that's where you're emotional.
It just,
they can see your improvements.
I was tripping for a second.
And there's a lot of other things that happen in a face-to-face that I don't have time to get into in this video, but just know that you do need to set that up. And I talk about a lot of this in more detail in the emergency breakup kit.
So, guys, I know you want your ex to be hurting because you are hurt, but I promise you that is not where the growth is going to happen. If you can identify where you're at, which is going to be in the orange for a lot of you, green as well, process these. Sedona method's important. Letting Go by David Hawkins is important. And I really want you to take those books in. And everyone takes it in, they drink the Kool-Aid at a certain speed, right? Not everyone's going to be able to make as much progress as others. But raising your consciousness level is important and going through these emotions. So once you guys get up, like you might feel a lot of anger, right? And that you can use that anger to start really creating some fantastic habits. You guys have probably heard me talking about this in my last videos, especially now that this is in front of my face. So anger's great because it's a driving force. Even though it's force, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to get off my ass. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. Again, you start realizing that you have choice, and that anger is a very powerful thing. And then you have desire, lustful desire, like I want, I need, right? So you can use these emotions to your advantage, but you have to understand how to use them and not let them control you. Fear is a big one, a really big one. People let fear control them too much. So getting through the fear is usually what people come to me for coaching. So speaking of that, that's in the description box down below. You guys can head to my website, which is masculineenergy with 2es.net/coaching. And it's actually being redesigned again. I found a good theme that I want to use. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and take it easy.
And if you subscribe to my channel,
it's not what I meant to do. Jesus Christ.